keep doing what you do. And I realized that that's the entire point of it. That's what I'm talking about, because don't fall for the myth of your own industry. Like, I sometimes talk to students, because either I'm part of a talk or something, and I tell my students that, as a student, you really admire brands. Like, I want to work for Nike one day, or I want to work for this magazine one day. It's great, like, for you to have a direction to channel your energies. But I also tell young artists all the time that let them find you. Just become unarguably good at what you do. Don't chase anything. Like, just become good enough for them to come find you. I think my entire life has been kind of like preparation for me being able to now create the kind of work that I'm creating right now. Everything is kind of like led up to this. This hasn't like been, it's not a career change or anything. My life has led up to this point. Creative work is basically me being a brat. Right now, AI is like a situationship. That kind of faith right now, it's fun new technology to play with. We are creative athletes. We need endurance, we need sustenance, we need rest, we need recovery. We also need to play.
And we need creative inspiration.
Just when you think you've nailed something is when the block hits you. You start doubting every thought in your head, every word you write, everything you shoot. What brings me out of it is basically to stop doing it for them.
He's a photographer, he's a director, and he mixes luxury, beauty, and funk. His visuals are supremely aesthetic and sensual. He works in advertising with the top brands in the country, and today he's also narrating visual stories of his own while using AI art as well. I'm talking about Vishesh Verma. I'm Nimisha Sirohi, and you're on Breaking It Down with Nimisha, where we go on a creative journey to really understand the process behind creative lives. Before we get in the conversation, please support my channel, share, like, and subscribe. Now let's get down to it. Thank you, Vishesh, for being here. You are an eclectic photographer, director, now writer, editor, and you've done some fascinating work in luxury and in fashion with beautiful people. I want to start by trying to understand who is Vishesh behind the camera and who is the Vishesh sitting in front of me.
Visuals and beauty came very naturally to me, I think. It was never an effort. It was never an effort to want to make things look good. It was a natural, or find beauty in things eventually. One of the things that has always been a source of mystery and delight for me is how, while I just went ahead and did what I like to do, people around me, people who hired me, and people who believed that my work could serve their brand, they started choosing what I was good at all by themselves. I was just out there because I enjoyed the medium of photography and film. They decided at some point that beauty is something that I do well, or jewelry is something that I do well. Let's admit it, you and I are both in advertising. We get chosen for a job because we've done something like it. But at the essence of it, what excites me is doing something I haven't done.
If I have to go back to your early days, you graduated from NID in Gujarat. And then, was it photography which attracted you first? Or how did you get into this line?
A place, the darkroom of NID is a place where I think even very, very great photographers have printed. Like legendary photographers, when they visited our country, when black and white printing was a thing, they have printed. Like darkroom had like, it felt like a temple. And I got attracted to that environment at first, just the process of taking pictures and seeing it come alive. And then I took every opportunity to be able to convert every project I was doing into something related to photography, which was kind of like a little sneaky of me, I think, but that kind of like defines the whole thing. So if I was asked to design a book cover, I would want to put a photograph of it on it. If I was doing a basic of animation course, I would do it with stop motion photography. I just started to get photography into everything I did, and we didn't have cell phones, so it meant actually having a camera. So it kind of just began with that. My mom got me my first camera when I told her we were having a photography course. A fascination for cameras began, a fascination for the medium began, films, the technical side of things. I threw myself into just learning about it. At the base of it, I think I was interested in stories. I was interested in telling someone who was looking at whatever I'm creating, whether it's film, I was like, I heard this story or I saw this and I loved it and I wanted to show it to you. That's basically, I feel like, what it's all about. If you can get excited about something and say, hey, can I tell you about this? Or like when you meet a friend and like, you wouldn't guess what happened to me in the elevator, right? So if you just switch, the day I just switched my thought process to saying that, oh, I love this, I'm going to take a photograph of this so I can show people. And I want to take a photograph of it in a way which echoes my feeling about it. So if it's a sunset that I find beautiful, I'll shoot it in a way where it's beautiful. If it's a tree that looks barren and dark, I'll shoot it, I'll make it look eerie. So I'm trying to communicate to you that, listen, I felt this. Do you feel this?
How did you find your niche?
I remember noticing beauty a lot, Nimisha. That's what I remember. Even as a kid, like even in school, I would notice beauty in people's outfits. So there was a little dust in the air, the particles would catch light and I just get lost in it. I just always would get lost in it. And I wanted to show it to people. And I thought photography was a great way of doing that.
To me, it sounds like you have a very visual way of viewing the world.
Yeah.
And that, of course, translates into your work. And it is appreciated for that. Being in advertising, when you meet clients who want to do jewelry, is there a fight between a conventional way and your way?
Like my idea of being a photographer is to be constantly moving around in the room and asking the person who's working with me. It's like a dance. People who noticed that was Tarun Telyani. So he chose people for what they did and didn't choose people and then asked them what to do. Let's just put it that way. He said he was the first to notice it. And I was like, always like asking the model to lie down. I'd be climbing up, then I'd be going down. And I just constantly felt that, you know, as a photographer, you're recognized through your images.
Of course.
Don't you think so?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like you're recognized through your voice. Every point of time, you'll hit a mark where you're like, this is not all that there is to me.
For you personally, what would you like to be recognized for? Because you are so many things at this point. And you are constantly evolving, like we were talking about, that you are reinventing yourself as we speak.
I was telling someone the other day, I think my life is like an experiment. So either it'll all go into a tailspin and run into a wall at some point, or it'll break through.
Break through where?
It'll just like go upside down and all in flames. Like it's experimental to that extent. Or I'll succeed in having a life where I'm surrounded by people who in some ways find this normal enough for them to say, yeah, it's a way of life.
Of creative life.
Of creative life, exactly. That's. I don't think I have like an ambition in the sense of awards or remuneration. For me, those are things that happen along the way, right? Like getting paid helps you do the next job or stay alive till the next job. You know, getting an award makes you have a little better voice when you are on set. But I don't think it means anything beyond that. I'm very grateful for whatever the world can show appreciation for. But I think the idea is just for me to live life in a very different way. And which is why this constant struggle of juggling mediums and juggling storytelling and not wanting to do the same thing, saying this is also a part of it. This is also a part of me. This is also a part of me. Self-expression, loss of a lot of the new work I've been doing is basically about it's basically dealing with intrusive thoughts. I learned to celebrate every thought that I get, and not, censor it, and not like I did. So there's the experiments where when I'm working on a piece of content and I'm like, for this piece, I'm never, the first thought that I get about anything, whether it's a dialogue, a visual or something, I'll just go with that.
The first thought.
The first thought, like without even trying to refine it. And if it gets refined while I'm shooting it, that's another thing. But sometimes you're like, especially when you're sitting in a team and with commercial work, you're like, oh, is there another way of doing this, or this has been done before? I don't question myself like that. If it's come to me, it's original. If it comes to someone else before, that's really not something that I think about too much, as long as I'm sure it's come to me
Because it's your point of view.
at that moment in time and in life. That was what my mind came up with, being able to celebrate that. And if that's what I would like to.
That's great. That's a great place because we were recently talking, Abhi, about how in your 40s is where you feel that you have found this voice of yours. But there was a journey.
Yeah.
How did that go?
I think I found shame was something that I had to deal with a lot. I don't know for what reason. Shame about my own thoughts, shame about how I felt about something, about being constantly told that that's not the right way to think about something. And at some point, I think I just got exhausted. I just got exhausted by saying that my mind can't be making all this stuff up. Either I'm really like inappropriate person.
In your thought process.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of the work I've been doing to basically it's hacking intrusive thoughts. Thoughts come to you for a reason. Yeah, thoughts are not real things. They are not like stuff you should like absolutely let yourself get swayed by all the time. But thoughts are like these little pings the universe. Like, see, we have ways in which you read words off a page, you imbibe knowledge, entertainment, whatever it is. You see something, you absorb it, right? But you cannot deny that thoughts come out of nowhere. My spiritual journey or my journey is to like just be really, really good friends with my thoughts.
I'd mentioned earlier that there was a very impactful film, impactful to me, which you made, where you talk about the word no.
Yeah.
And where did that stem from?
I write like you do, and I try to resolve a lot of stuff that happens during the day by writing. And I wanted to do a reflective piece. That was in the initial part of the journey where I was like, if I'm expecting people to be real and honest with me, I can't give any lesser. And that was a very like cringe moment for me to put, we all like to put ourselves in a particular light on Instagram. I decided to do a series where I was, again, if I'm truly not judging my thoughts and if I'm truly at peace with myself, I should be able to talk about it. And at that time, becoming comfortable with the word no was something that was on my mind. That's where it came from. So I just decided at that moment to do a film based on that. Like I would do something else today, but it would be top of my mind. It would be honest. It would come from a place of where I don't question it.
I feel like the landscape of communication has also changed dramatically. You've been in advertising all these years. And now the digital space has come in. And the digital space demands shorter, crisper, tighter information, at the same time relevant. Do you feel that the market has, in a way, shrunk or it has expanded to include more? Or now I have to send my message in this much time. I have only this much time to figure this out. And I have to do a good job of it too. Yeah. How are these two different for you?
As a creative person, if you have just one belief, okay, in my suggestion, what worked for me is that if I find it interesting, someone's going to find it interesting.
Yeah.
To analyze everything and to think, is this going to work for my market? And that's something that's a different science altogether. I don't think the work comes from a place of that. It's just that, listen, this cut really works. And if I believe that, someone's going to believe that. You have to have that faith. If you think that, songwriting, these are all such abstract things, right? They're so ephemeral. Art is such a ephemeral place. You can't I feel like define it. So for me to be able to talk about this in terms of trends and shorter format, longer format, sometimes I'm cutting something and it just becomes longer. Sometimes I'm cutting something and it just becomes shorter, you know. I try not to think of it in terms of it's a big trap, man, because sometimes when you have pieces that really connect with an audience, I get locked into my head for a number of days, and I'm like, and then I realize I don't have to recreate that. You know, I can put something out there that doesn't do so well. It's fine. I'm so happy right now for the fact that people are able to put stuff out. Do you know you had to like either be in college to put up your artworks on a wall and have like at least 40 people from your batch come to see it, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, or oh, like God forbid you made a film, your friends, family would have to see it. You know,
They would
it
be
would
the
be
first audience.
punishment.
They would be the first people to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they'd have to see it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like at least now the algorithm does the heavy lifting for us, right? It like tries to send it out to people who might be interested in it. So it's like it's such a nice time to be alive and create. Like whoever you are, and I meet people who are, you know, they're constantly sitting on it, thinking about it, and for me, it's the biggest gift. Like, how could you not tell people a story that you like, or tell people a point of view on a thing that you have, you know, or just, I don't know, take them into a vacation that you had, which really like meant a lot to you. Like, why would you not?
I mean, storytelling is for us might be very, very personal.
Yeah.
How do you make it universal?
A thing that's out when I put out Just Friends, which was something that was really close to my heart because all my reels, okay, are kind of autobiographical, or they are biographical. They are rooted in real people. There's something that happened in my life or someone else's life, and a lot of my friends play this game where they're like, oh, so you included this. They know this happened to me, or they knew someone said this to me at a bar, or they know something like this happened to me on holiday, okay, or happened to them. And I'll tell people, I'll be like, I'm stealing this. What you just told me,
Huh.
I'm stealing this, and I'm going to put it out there from women who liked women. You know, like you never thought it existed, and it got a lot of patriarchal hate as well. A lot of shade was thrown at it. I mean, if you read the comments, there are debates going on in the comment section, which happens
Right.
to content, right?
Yes.
And that's when you know you've hit it. So I think universal is just so not even something that you should even want to do. Like, you know, like McDonald's is universal.
True. McDonald's is universal.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is the role of repetition in this conversation? When you are trying to build something as a
have to repeat.
creative, you need to repeat.
You need to repeat, yeah. See, repetition is commercial. It's familiarity. It's that comfort that you have with the fact that, oh, if I go on this app and I book a cab will show up. The whole idea of creating and the whole idea of art is to constantly explore, is to go on an adventure every time, use skills that you have. So which is a real struggle in the world of advertising and commerce, because that's what factories do, right? They just create the same thing again and again, and they do it consistently. And the idea is not to be a factory for me currently.
Explain.
Anything that you do again and again and again, okay, gives you a certain amount of pleasure. Like your favorite food, you know, or your favorite person. So, and which is where all the discomfort in life lies: trying a new cuisine, trying a new person, trying a new destination. For example, if I did a film on coming of age, two teenage coming of age lesbians, right? And then I decided that because this content worked in a particular way, even if I started thinking about it in that sense, I would defeat the very purpose of doing what I'm doing right now. Form society, and for the smoother functioning of society, you put in patterns and ways of behavior so things can go on smoothly, right? Again, commerce, structure, all of that. And which kind of led us to patriarchy becoming a thing which was really becoming suffocating. But it doesn't just hurt women, it hurts men as well. Like they are also gender bound by decisions. Like I'll give you an example. I was always someone who was noticing beauty around me even in school, right? Like I told you, like if a boy had long hair, he would be bending over reading a book, the hair would be falling over his forehead, and I would just like look at that. Or like the way a girl's skirt would moving around her legs, or like the way the hair would the flip of the hair would happen, or constantly like. And I was just recently in my 40s discussing this with a close friend of mine who I've come to really trust as well. And I was telling her about it. And she was like, okay, that's like, she just raised an eyebrow. I was like, what? Isn't like same gender crushes normal? And she was like, no. I'm like, are you serious? Now, I don't know an answer. Like, there can be no universal answer. People will see this and, they'll have views on it. They're like, yeah, I experienced it. I didn't experience it. So I'm also, there's always, the underlying piece is also the fact that, they say sexuality is a spectrum, right? Depends on exactly where you lie. Plus, there's so many other definitions. But I think everything in life is kind of a spectrum.
See, even your appearance talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a reverse actually. I think your appearance, like, I kind of feel they reflect your thoughts, the person that you are. Like it's in the eyes. Crazy is in the eyes. Funny is in the eyes. Body language, all of that. So for me also to like sort of become really comfortable with my appearance or exploring how I looked and not be judged based on a certain idea of masculinity was a big journey.
I feel, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, your creative journey, and because you are functioning in a space where you're constantly interacting with really beautiful people, has helped you open up as well and find your own persona and being. Has it?
I had beauty around me, even growing up. I mean, my sister was a beauty. I mean, is a beauty. My sister is a beauty. And she was someone who used to model and act, and then, her friends. And, I got sort of like very organically drawn into that world. It's not like I was born into that world, right? But I was like, I have a mother who's graceful and beautiful and unlike me has kept her hair and like, just flowing, beautiful white hair. My dad too. I would watch, we had television, right? We had television only for 2 hours in the evening. Oh, we didn't have television for a while when I was growing up. Like, I'm kind of like giving away exactly how old I am right now.
No, I'm thinking Chitrahar at 8 p.m.
Got it. Exactly. You had 2 hours. Right?
Yeah.
So we had to share television time, right? So I ended up sharing a lot of television time based on my homework and all of that with my mother. And my mother would like to watch content with really beautiful people in it. And all the stories that she enjoyed and all the films that she enjoyed, she enjoyed kind of bad boy characters, but beautiful boys. So I think sort of like the appreciation for beauty of both kind of like comes from there for me. Being made on the fact that everything happens at the same time every day. Like, I mean, someone could make a movie about a day and for sure, it could happen. But, usually it was about romances that weren't getting resolved. Or it was arguments that weren't getting settled.
Certain formulas.
Friction.
Yeah.
Friction, no? Chaos, friction. And and how do you keep people's eyes there was beauty. So I was like always comfortable about beauty. So I don't think the idea is that it made me feel better. In fact, it sometimes can make you feel worse about yourself. Because you're like, I don't look like these people, and that's what beauty is, and that's what I'm putting. I tell a lot of people this. I'm like, don't fall for your own myth.
What do you mean?
It's very, very, like sometimes like when you're pretty, people will keep telling you how pretty you are. Or when you're a good singer, they'll be like, and then friends sometimes who are not the best meaning people will use words like you're a legend and you're a champion, and I'm very wary of these adjectives and superlatives because a lot of people, especially when they're growing up, they fall for their own myth, or when they have their first success in the industry, right? Like they fall for their own myth, and they're like, I was having this conversation with this model, okay, and she was very upset because she had not yet been on the cover of one of the magazines that she really wanted to be on. Okay. And she's like, I've done this brand campaign, ta 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 ta. Why am I not on this cover? I was like, are you real for now? And she's like, yeah, like I want to do this. I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, But I'm like, you're falling for your own myth. You're falling for your own industry. She said, what do you mean? I'm like, the whole reason you work in fashion and the whole reason we work in advertising is because we make these little pieces of content that have to make other people want to buy things.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a model and you're upset by the fact that you haven't been on a fashion magazine cover, it's for people who are not in this industry to want to buy things that puts them on that magazine cover. You realize it's like, they're like, this is a magazine cover. You can get there if you do this, and you buy these products, right? I'm like, listen, if being part of the industry, that doesn't mean that, I haven't had moments where I'm like, I really want to shoot the cover for this magazine, it happens, but it goes away with wisdom, it's like you're falling for your own, it's fake.
So what do you think about creative ambition then?
What do I think about
creative ambition?
Yeah.
So you're saying don't fall for your own myth.
Yeah.
But people have creative ambition. I would say your model friend might have been her creative ambition.
Yeah, sure. But it was letting her, it did bother her. That's the part that should just keep doing what you're doing. I also fall into this trap all the time. I recently had a new friend tell me, and I was very surprised because I was just getting to know her. And, sometimes when that discovery of meeting a person, I get the ick a lot now. I mean, mostly they give the ick. But suddenly some person will say something really perceptive about you. And then you start wondering whether you're that open as a transparent book. But she said something to me. I was getting worried about the fact that, should I do it this way? Will this get more views, or will this get more engagement, or what will my followers think? Or, she was like, just keep doing what you do. And I realized that that's the entire point of it. That's what I'm talking about, because the don't fall for the myth of your own industry. Like, don't. I sometimes talk to students, because either I'm part of a talk or something, and I tell my students that, as a student, you really admire brands. Like, I want to work for Nike one day, or I want to work for this magazine one day. It's great, like, for you to have a direction to channel your energies in. But I also tell younger artists all the time that let them find you. Just become unarguably good at what you do. They'll find you. Don't chase anything. Like, just become good enough for them to come find you. Because in my experience, and I'm sure in your experience, after a while, chasing doesn't get you anything. How many times, like, for example, if you have a dry spell and there's no work, do you really think calling people again and again will get you work? Yeah, like, there are arguments for it. There are arguments for cold calling, and there are arguments for warm calling and all. But I don't think it just like works in that way. Like, let them see something in you, and
When you're starting out, you're talking about a creative or an individual, a director, photographer, artist, whatever he may be, he or she may be, who has that self-belief and self-confidence in them, and they're able to, I'm not getting work, I will do this.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not doing this,
I mean, you got to do something.
You got to do something.
You got to like throw shit against the wall.
Yeah. So for somebody who's starting out in your space, photography, direction, what would you say to them? Because they're looking for work.
I had a school friend recently whose daughter wants to get into the performing arts. Modeling, dance, acting. And because he knew I was a photographer, he wanted to know if I would shoot some pictures of her. I told him very clearly that the way of doing this now is not to get pictures taken professionally, because portfolios are kind of not the way to go anymore. It's to start making content. Okay, for this, anyone who wants to be a model, who wants to be an actor, wear friends, find designers who have clothes, borrow them, wear them, find people who want to be photographers, get pictures taken with them. That the model is changing. See, it's not like how so the thing is, I'm very excited about the fact that you don't have to chase a particular photographer, whether that photographer's work can create your career. Do you remember that
Yes,
used to
of
be a
course.
thing?
Yes,
like
yes.
if you
You
get
wanted to get portfolio from
this
that photographer.
you know
Correct.
that, you know,
Yes,
like, I'm
of course.
speaking your language
Yeah.
now. Do you
Yeah.
understand? But that is just not the way of doing things anymore. In fact, ever since the iPhone camera was invented, there are two types of content creators out there, okay? Or there are two types of models and actors out there. One who can shoot themselves really well, and the others who can't. They don't know what
Go
angles.
down that road.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there are some
Yes.
people who can shoot themselves really well, and
Yeah.
you honestly feel like you have nothing to contribute there. I've told people this. I'm like, you're doing a great job. You don't need me. You know your angles. You know what looks good, what works for you. You're growing. It's fantastic. You're putting a vibe out there, which is other people will follow. It's not even simply about the fact that it's working for you. You're creating templates that other people are using. You're like, I should do it like this.
Yeah.
And other people are not good at it. They just, their attention is not there on those
Correct.
things, right? So
Yeah.
they need a little help. People waited to create earlier. They needed to be given an opportunity to create. That has changed a little bit now. You know, and that's the biggest challenge that people who worked with the older model have to work with the new model now.
Yeah. And you don't need to wait anymore.
You
just
don't need a job to come to you. You have an idea, execute it. And I firmly believe that created with what is available to you, the more you stop and think about it, you'll just get it's going to not serve anything. The desire to tell the story is at the base of it all. You know, it's basically like what I was talking about. Like, before we had cameras, before we had photography, before we had art, painting, early man also used to tell stories when they sat around the fire.
Yeah.
This happened to me, that happened to me. Maybe they made sketches in the sand or something. It's the human urge to want to tell a story. It's not about the story. I've always loved storytellers. I find like people who tell stories really fascinating, which is why I also wanted to be one, like be a storyteller. And then again, the same thing, you know, you get advertising puts you in this, oh, you shoot jewelry well, you shoot beauty well, you shoot sports well, or whatever your thing might be, right? And then inside you're like, no, I want to tell a story. Like, I don't to do only visuals. I want people to speak. My favorite thing to do is have a conversation. I'm having
Yeah.
such a great time with you right now.
Yeah, same here.
You know, listening, talking.
And you've started making stories. I'm seeing the stories that you're putting out there. They're really unique. And sometimes you're using silence, sometimes you're using language, sometimes your characters are talking, sometimes they are not.
Yes.
Tell me something about the kind of stories that you want to talk about to the world.
Yeah, stuff that people don't talk about, stuff that's swept under the rug. Maybe it's from my own upbringing, but a lot of stuff was not addressed, you know. And it's not like, it's not basis only the family structure, it's also school. There was just some stuff you would not question. You were not allowed to question it. There was just no reason for you to, like I was talking about, I never liked school uniforms. Okay, they bothered the fuck out of me. Okay, and I didn't even like the fact that mine was in the color grey. It's the one color that does not look nice on me. To have to endure that all the time, and the shape of the clothes and all that. But it was just something, I want to make a little piece soon that says ऐसा ही होता है.
कैसा होता है?
ऐसा ही होता है. Like a lot of answers that were given to me about questions that I raised as a child. हाँ, ऐसा ही होता है. What does that even mean? Like, you know, at the end of the day, we've created this game. This whole world as it exists right now is, we've made up this game. You think what exists on a board game is a game? No, this life is a game. We've made our rules. We drive on this side of the road. This colored piece of paper has this much value. This is the way you stand, and this is how you wait to buy food. We made up these rules. Okay, we made up these stories. Nothing is like the universe hasn't like laid out.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're questioning societal conventions,
Yeah.
every single thing that has ever existed, but you need certain amount of rules to function in
Yeah,
society.
sure.
And what I find is that you are questioning those rules. And I think a lot of creators are currently questioning the way we think
Yes,
as
yes,
people,
yes,
right?
you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Isn't it exciting?
it is very, very
Exactly.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, talk about things at the end of the day that were not talked about. I'll tell you what. I have so much. When I'm scrolling on Instagram, or going through YouTube, right? Yeah, there'll be some very well produced content from people who I enjoy. I already know their work. What really delights me is that someone with a phone camera and puts out content about their life and their story, and it just talks to me. I'm like, listen, I think this. I just didn't talk about it. I just didn't talk about it, and I realized that there's nothing shameful or cringe about putting. You have a thought, it's affecting you, make something about it. Really, I really mean it. There's nothing I've ever seen which is honest and vulnerable that has not touched me. It could be some school student with an iPhone camera making something very basic with their friends, but they talk about something that just like, you're like, this happened to me. I just never told anyone about it, or I never talked about it.
Can I ask you, what are your fears? When you talk about this creative freedom, which is beautiful,
Yeah.
is there a parallel fear of any sort which you might have?
Is waking up in the morning and getting one more day to do it. My biggest fear is one day not having that. And I'm not talking simply about death. It might sound like that, right? But I'm talking about illness. I'm talking about some circumstance in your life where you wake up and you can't do this. Just a new day and one more shot at it. That's all I go for. And if that gets taken away, which is why I'm a huge believer in freedom. I'm a huge believer in freedom of speech, of thought. I was telling you, Stephen Fry, someone you'll know very well, and I have someone who my sister, I discovered through a conversation with my sister. He said something. He said, being civilized and being educated is I'm paraphrasing, is basically about being able to handle different thoughts with grace. So I never think of anything as a debate. I never think of any situation in life I have to win, you know. It doesn't serve me. Maybe it serves an athlete.
Right.
We are creative athletes, but I don't feel the need to win. There's nothing I'm winning every day. It's just the fact that I have another shot at it.
And it's beautiful that you talk about grace, because a lot of your work, I find it personally very, very graceful and beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell me about maybe top 3 campaigns, ad campaigns, which you might have worked on, which really resonated with you and which you really learned something from.
I learn something from every commercial project I do. Two reasons commercial projects are really valuable to any creative person. One is the remuneration. Okay, it helps you make a living, provide for your family, live a life, be relevant. The other reason commercial work is really important is every commercial jobs comes with a learning. Because you're in an environment where there are a lot of inputs, like you said, like there's so many voices, right? And at some point, you kind of learn to use someone else's point of view and use that. And then you realize on the edit table, this shit works. it's an elaboration of your own technique, your own, I didn't think this would work. This works, like maybe I should use this.
Yeah.
The negative side of it is the fact that sometimes in commercial work things have to go as planned. If it's on the storyboard, you shoot it. There's no getting around that. If the dialogue is not working but it's been approved by the client, you make it work, or to the extent that you can make it work. That's a freedom I look for in my own work. I change things at that minute. Something's not working, the script is mine, the concept is mine, I can change it. So there's a huge amount of flow and grace. That's the grace that you see. The visual grace, like I said, is always, I've grown up looking at paintings from the Renaissance masters, and like I've grown up just feasting on beauty and visuals, like, as an artist and as a painter. It came very naturally to me to look at something. I don't have to think before composing something. Like, there is no rule of ratios in my head. I've never functioned like that. I just know this is how I want to shoot it.
There is like a gut instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all comes from somewhere. It comes from somewhere for sure. And earlier you think, oh my God, it's limiting. Oh, have you ever had this situation where people are like, iska to ye style hai. Use them for this.
Yeah,
only.
a lot of times. Yeah. As a voiceover artist, definitely. Even as an actor, I find myself being bracketed into certain looks that I would only fit a certain type. And I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know what I feel.
I know.
You know what I feel, right? So and the thing is, but that's where we come. Commerce is repeatability. Remember, in ad campaigns, we get chosen because we've done similar work.
Yeah.
Oh, he's done beverage.
Yeah.
Or she's done beverage. Or she's done something really nice in Hindi. Or, you start getting like people want to use you for that. And listen, we do that in our lives as people. If we are like, no, this restaurant has good juice, we go there for juice a lot.
Yeah. 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 That does become your forte. In a sense.
In a sense, right? But at the base of it, we all want to explore ourselves to the maximum. And that's the foundation of a creative person. Don't you think so?
I think so. And I really, what is interesting about our conversation right now is I find that the demarcation which you make between my commercial work, like you have repeatedly said, my commercial work, you don't allow your commercial work to define you. You have your artistic work, which is giving you the freedom. And then there is this commercial work which you're entering with a certain mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a different mindset.
It's a different mindset.
So now I will come back to that question of Vishesh as a director sitting behind the camera, doing his commercial work. And Vishesh over here sitting and creating his artistic work. Is that a fair demarcation to have?
Yeah. It's a very fair demarcation. I think it's a very wise demarcation, and everyone should have part of it in their life. Like it, I think commercial work, your role is kind of like a guardian or a parent. You're looking out for the interests of your client. You're making sure their product is seen, celebrated. You're making sure their message comes across. There's a particular reason and a journey. Each brand has had a journey to come to a spot where they are able to afford us. Please understand that. They have had successes of their own, and they have discovered things about their market which has allowed them to create a commercial campaign with talent such as you and me. Okay? There is some credence to their journey as much as there's credence to our journey. So when I go on board, I go on as a guardian, a parent, a supportive professional. Do you know how I mean? Like, I'm looking out for their interests, I'm making sure their product is seen, their story is communicated. If there's something special about their product, it should get highlighted.
Yeah.
And they want to be seen in a particular way that they want to be seen. Whereas creative work is basically me being a brat.
I heard me being a brand.
Also. But me being just a kid.
Yeah.
just having
Yeah.
this like belief in this irrational belief in some thought you had, man. Like, I want to do a film on a couple who professes their love to each other in the rains of Bombay.
Well, I saw that.
Yeah, dar nahi lagta.
Yeah.
It's about, a couple that should have resistance, but they're getting carried away in that moment. And these moments that are self-indulgent, yeah, just being a brat. So that's the difference.
Talk to me about your journey into AI art, which I've seen recently that you have adapted to your work.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting space to be in today. Relevant, but not many people are into it as yet.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How are you finding it? How are you navigating it?
Right now, AI is like a situationship for me. It's
Okay.
not a relationship. Yeah, I don't think I have that kind of faith right now. Uh, but it's an amusement. It's it's a fun new technology to play with. If you're interested in visuals, see, photography has composition, color, lighting, casting, jewelry, whatever accessories, clothes, pretty much that, right? Like textures, maybe. Filmmaking has music, dialogue, timing, cuts, there's so much more. So if you're truly a creative person, the ultimate creative expression is filmmaking, right? So AI is a tool. You can create some beautiful visuals with that. But I think every new technology that comes out is seen as magical. What's also lovely about being in my 40s is the fact that I've somewhere everything that happens, you've seen a version of it before. Okay, or you have familiarity with this kind of change. The internet made this kind of a change earlier. When I remember there's dial-up modems going and you were suddenly connected to the world. When the first browser page opened on my desktop, I felt it was magic. Now we take it as very natural, right? Yeah. So AI is going to go through a system where right now it all seems really, we've all been through a moment recently as creative people where it has both blown us away and scared us, right? Every new technology does that. People didn't want their photographs taken in the early days of photography because they believed their soul would be robbed. Okay, parents didn't want people to spend too much time on the internet because it would rot people's brains, right? Now you can't work without the internet. So eventually every new technology is like magic and the devil. And kind of like that's what's happening with AI right now. It's like, yeah, it'll be a lovely little tool, and people are doing some great stuff with it, man.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, I haven't done a piece which made any emotional sense.
Because you're still exploring it at the moment.
I haven't discovered that trick yet, to be able to discover emotion in AI. I still find the way someone's hair and eyes move in real life has a certain amount of randomness that AI has not yet able to create. Like right now when I'm looking at you, the way your earrings are moving, one of them moving a little more, one of them, it's basically a tilt of your head. AI can't. Not yet.
Like I speak to you, I almost feel that your eyes are always in a frame. Is that so?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm making life better for myself. That's basically it. Yeah. Like you have that ability to make life, like don't look at stuff that you don't like looking at and look at the stuff that you like looking at. It's like choosing the music
zoom
on
in,
your
zoom out.
playlist.
Yeah.
How is it any different? You treat your ears, like when you hear something you don't like, you do this, right?
Yeah.
I do this with my eyes. I look away.
Great strategy.
Done with it, like, yeah, like I have a lot of I just, when I turn away because I'm like, I don't like what I'm looking at. Like we do it with sound, no? Like how many people, like when a pataka goes off and you don't like the noise, you do this.
Yeah.
Like somewhere, dude, it was like, it's part of schooling also, no? A certain regimented schooling. You don't like the subject, but like look at it.
Yeah.
Look at the blackboard. Where's your attention? Look at the blackboard. Whereas I feel that that's not discipline. Real discipline, especially as creative people need it, is to have the understanding that once you get really passionate about something, you have the discipline in yourself. You can reach in and bring that discipline out. Discipline is not like doing something that someone else is telling you to do without asking a question. That's not discipline. I'm a very firm believer in that. It's not like pay attention because you have to pay attention. No, it's when you get really interested in something. You will stay up nights.
Yeah.
You will go to the gym. You will eat right. You will take care of your sleep. You will take care of your behavior. You will learn every day. You will adapt. And that's what commercial work does. It gives you that discipline in the sport. We are creative athletes. We are athletes. We need endurance. We need sustenance. We need rest. We need recovery. We also need to play.
And we need creative inspiration.
We need inspiration. We need a tribe around us who inspires us. We need to watch stuff that inspires us. We need to hear stories that inspire us.
So when you are creatively stuck, what is your inspiration? What is your go-to? I'm sure there might be times you might be creative.
Are you kidding me? All the time. Dude, so this is one thing about, how they say you have beginner's luck in anything. I think there's something true with that, because when you start, there's this, you don't think too much. You kind of just do it. And then you're like, oh, this is so much fun. Like, I've nailed this. Just when you think you've nailed something is when the block hits you. You start doubting every thought in your head, every word you write, everything you shoot. What brings me out of it is basically to stop doing it for a while.
Pause.
Just pause. And you have that luxury when you're doing work for yourself, but you don't have the luxury when you're sort of like you have to deliver for a client, which is again where discipline comes in. It's like the days you don't feel like going to a gym, but you still go. Or the days where you don't feel like making that call, but you anyway do. You put on that smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my thing is, I just pause works, man. All those stories about, is that Einstein who did some 80,000 version, or Edison who did some 80,000 Edisons of a light bulb, wasn't working. Then he just kept working on it. He was going mad. Then one day he just said, fuck this, went for a boat ride. And while he was on the boat looking at the water and the birds chirping, he got the idea.
Eureka moment.
My thing to do when I'm blocked, and yes, I get blocked and I get miserable when I get blocked, is just to stop. Just stop for a while.
Yeah. And then do you draw inspiration from some person? How do you fill your well? Because I feel like, yes, great, pause is fantastic. But seeing art or reading a book or something, doing something creative also fills my creative instinct.
Yeah.
For you, what is that? What is that?
Going for a walk, cooking more, spending time with friends, listening to music, traveling. So when I wanted to become a photographer, I spent a lot of time looking at photography work. When I became a photographer, I kind of stopped doing that, And I'll tell you why in just a few seconds. So I think my entire life has been kind of like preparation for me being able to now create the kind of work that I'm creating right now. Everything is kind of like led up to this. This hasn't been, it's not a career change or anything. My life has led up to this point. But now I make a very conscious choice to not look at work in too much. Like I don't look at ads too much. When you want to get into advertising, you look at ads. But I think once you're kind of like working in it, it's very, very important to protect the sanctity of your thoughts. It's really important because as a director, as a commercial director, or as the reason you are being asked to do a job is because someone respects your thoughts. As a director, they want to hear what you think about something. Otherwise, what? You're sitting at a monitor. Are you being paid to watch TV? No.
True.
You're being, you're someone who people will turn to and say, hey, we have a problem with this. What do you think? So you have to protect the sanctity of your thoughts. You have to learn to respect your own thoughts. That's very important to me as part of my new journey. Like what I said about going with the first thought that you have as an experiment. I don't do that for every piece of content that I do. There's some content where I discuss with the artist who's in it. Sometimes it's a shared journey. Sometimes I'm doing something that's autobiographical. So I will talk to them about it, like I just did this piece, and I wanted to do a piece where a girl was getting I was talking about the struggles of a big city, and especially a city like Delhi, which sometimes can be unfriendly and aggressive, which I feel can happen in all big cities, but the story was stationed in Delhi. So, and I had written a scene about how this particular interaction goes, and the actress who was in it, she immediately said, I'll tell you about something that actually happened to me. And she told me. And I used that eventually. It wasn't a huge difference, it was about a case of some trouble on the road, as a woman driver in a city like Delhi. I don't want to talk about it because the content's
Of
not out
course,
yet.
absolutely.
But she brought it up. So I sometimes use that. But it's very important to do work from a place of thought and not do work from a place of reference.
And to trust your original thought as well.
Yeah.
To have that faith in that thought.
Yeah. I was in college in NID. One of my favorite little courses was color. And I didn't know at that time. Okay. There was this, and just before this, we'd done a very technical course, like geometrical construction or something, which drove me up the wall. I can get straight lines.
Your dad was an architect.
He is an architect.
He is an architect.
He is an architect, and he loves architecture and he loves straight lines. And but I really struggled with things like furniture, anything that had anything to do with absolute accuracy and repetition. We had to construct hexagons and things that just fitted, and I like things when things are a little wonky.
Malleable, flexible.
Maybe this is sat a little tilted,
Yeah.
a flower arrangement, which has a little more flowers on this side, a little less, whereas geometry. Anyway, so we went into color. This faculty came in, and one of the first exercise she made us do was she was like, I'm going to play music. Okay? The only restriction you have is that you will pre-choose 2 colors that you're using. Okay? So I remember I basically chose green and white. Okay? She's like, the only restriction that these are 2 colors you learn. Whatever this music makes you feel, paint that. Dude, I had so much fun in this class.
That's a lot of freedom.
That's a lot of freedom, and it really created something that has stuck. I think it's one of my favorite pieces that I ever created in college. It's just this beautiful scene which came entirely from my head of a natural landscape. She played the song called Memories from the musical Cats. And I just created something completely from my thoughts, not a painting I had seen, not a photograph I had seen. And I'm just I'm in that space where that's so precious to me,
That's superb. I mean, as final words, Vishesh, to somebody who is stepping into this field as a newbie, what would you say as a word of advice?
Be really grateful for anything in your life right now that allows you to wake up in the morning and follow your passion. Gratitude is a huge, huge, huge force, no matter what your conditions are, okay? And we all have different conditions. We all are struggling with something, and we all are fortunate enough to have some blessings in our life. If you are grateful, you'll be able to create. If you are ungrateful, you will want to do the opposite of create. So creation is a very generous act because you're just creating and you're giving it out there. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And whereas if you're not grateful, you will have greed and jealousy, and you'll have all these emotions in you, which I'm not disregarding. Every emotion is valid. Have greed, have jealousy, feel it. Feel it. But like, no, be human enough to like be really grateful for every day that you wake up in the morning and do it, no matter what it is you do. If you go on to, and I'm old enough to have seen journeys, you have to. People who began really small and made it big. So
Yeah.
there is growth.
There
There
is.
is growth. Be patient, be generous, and really and be grateful and listen. Like, you don't have to be like anyone.
You don't have to be like anyone. That is a great, great piece of advice.
Please, yeah,
Yeah.
like, you don't have to be like anyone. Like, yeah, you grow up idolizing people and films that you want to make, and you know, just like slowly work towards releasing yourself from that, and believe that every thought you have is valid. Release shame. Release shame. Shame kills creativity. Release it in any form that you can.
Thank you for saying that. I'm going to quickly ask you a few questions. It's a pop quiz. You have to be as brief as
Got it,
possible.
got it, got it.
Your directing style in one word.
Sensual. Sensory. Yeah, okay.
When you're creatively stuck, what do you turn to?
I go take a walk.
Most spoken self-talk line to yourself.
Self-taught.
Self-talk. Like we all do self-talk.
Yeah. There is one. I just can't remember it right now. There is one. I keep
We
saying
all
that shit
have
to
it.
myself. Yeah. Oh my God. I find myself repeating that to myself all the time. I think very cool.
Very cool. That's very positive and very inspiring. Yeah, superb. It keeps you kind of on the positive end of things.
Exactly. Like, I even if I'm going through something that's a really shit situation, I'm like, so cool. So cool.
So cool.
So cool. Not bad. That's how I knew something as well.
When and where do you get your best ideas? When and where?
On my walks, definitely. Just in those few moments in the night, just before I fall asleep. It's that twilight zone.
You quickly take out your notebook and like write it down
And
before
then I can't
forget
sleep again for another half an hour. Yeah, but not a notebook, my phone in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many of these practical tips that I think you and I can really offer people, right? Like,
Yeah.
note down every idea.
Yeah.
Do not disregard even the smallest thoughts. Write down everything, even if it's a complaint, because you will come back to it at that point, at some point. Write shit down.
I love it. I love it. Great. Thank you so much for taking out the time and being here.
You're
I
welcome.
really
This
enjoyed
was
our
fun.
conversation. I just love talking about creativity. It's insane. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. We are at Breaking It Down with Nimisha, where I'm going to be bringing more such really interesting conversations for you to grow as a creative in the Indian entertainment industry. See you next time.